All right. Biggest fight of the year. Yes, I said it. The biggest fight of the year is a Matchroom card on DAZN. Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz rematch for three of the major championship belts. Both these guys are looking really skinny, according to pictures that they keep sending out in black shirts. But there's a sparring partner for Deontay Wilder that has some interesting things to say about that. Let's talk about this fight that really is, I do believe, the biggest fight in boxing this year in this video. All right. Welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, thank you so much to the people that support on the Patreon, that join the Patreon community. It's definitely a different look than the boxing channel, and it's got a very consistent theme through those videos. It will improve your life. I promise you. Okay? I promise you it will. For the Patreons that have the video, that support the channel, but sometimes don't watch the videos, make sure you watch the videos and listen to the thread of advice that goes through that. It will suit you in your life greatly. Also, thank you to everybody in the live streams that support through the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the and Venmo. We appreciate your support so much. Make sure you come by OG Boxing Talk Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with myself, Blood Boxing, Curtis Anderson, KQKC Boxing, and Trap House Boxing. When we wrap up the week and all the big subjects in boxing, have great debates, very mature audience in the chat. I think that you'll like it a lot as long as you're respectful. If you're not respectful, you're gonna get kicked out. Just a warning. It's how we roll around these parts. Now, Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua are out showing skinny pics of each other. They're not showing pictures of each other. They're both showing these skinny pics about how they're all, you know, like this guy's slimming down. This guy's slimming down. You know, you have a new picture with Anthony Joshua in a black shirt with his arm raised, looking lean. You have in the picture, you have a picture of Andy Ruiz, who who is looking like he's lost weight with his arms close, covering up them love handles with his arms stretched. I ain't buying that, man. I'm not buying it. These guys, mark my words. These guys are going to walk into the ring and the weigh-in, weighing the same thing that they weighed the last fight. Minimal differences in the weight that these guys are going to weigh in this fight. This stuff is just usual promotion, ways to keep the fight in the mind of fight fans while there's so many other fights going on in the sport of boxing. And this year, quite honestly, has been a really good, I believe it's been a very, very good year in boxing. Very good year in boxing as far as the unifications of championships. There's been some horrendous, ridiculous stuff that's happened, like with some rulings that the WBC has made and some things that have happened with like Dillian White. But for the and there's been some big fights that we haven't seen, right? We didn't see Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. We haven't seen, we didn't see Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, right there. Some fight. We didn't see Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis. There are fights that have not taken place in the sport of boxing, but there are a lot of really good fights and very interesting fights that did take place. We've had a lot of unification fights, and this fight coming up in December for 3 belts is a rematch of a shocking upset that took place in April. And that in and of itself is something that adds value, really adds significant value to the sport of boxing in the year 2019. And I'm just telling you, I've been one of the harshest critics of Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, without a doubt. I think it would be very hard pressed to find 3 people that have been more critical of Matchroom Boxing than I have. And there's a lot of things about this fight that I think was crazy. Going to Saudi Arabia, not a big fan of it. Like, I would think that it should be, but you know, whatever. It is where it is. The fight's going to take place, and we're going to see another fight where, hey man, I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat going into that fight. And honestly, I don't know who's going to win that fight. I don't know if it's going to be Anthony Joshua, and it winds up that the Andy Ruiz thing was kind of a fluke. Anthony Joshua is able to do what he did the first fight, except for finish up. That he's able to, you know, catch Andy Ruiz with a big shot, and put him out, and then be patient, or he's going to outbox him. I mean, Anthony Joshua has the potential to win this fight, and I favor him to win the fight. The reason that I figure him to win the fight is because, you know, I'm into the politics. I'm very much into the politics of boxing, and I think that those things are very, very real, right? You're fighting on a Matchroom card. You're fighting in a place that Matchroom negotiated and decided to take you to. I know that Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn know how to, just like Bob Arum, just like Don King, just like other promoters, know how to ensure that their fighter, at the very least, gets a fair shake on the judge's scorecard. But if it's a lopsided leverage, know how to make sure that those judges know who the cash cow is, which is why you see things where there's like equal, like a lot of times you'll see fights like that wind up being split decisions. My personal opinion is that when you see split decisions, where there's one judge that is solidly looking for something and there's two judges that sees different things, I believe that has something to do with the power of the promoters, at the very least, in negotiating, and at the best, negotiating for specific judges that they know look for specific things. And that's without me going into any type of, you know, unnecessary conspiratory speculation. Anyway, this particular fight seems maybe it could have that type of result because of it being with Al Heyman and the PBC fighter, but I don't see it. I think if it goes to a scorecard, then Anthony Joshua is going to win that fight. So that's why I'm picking Anthony Joshua, because I think Anthony Joshua is going to try to stay out of the way of Andy Ruiz and box Andy Ruiz and walk out with he's going to limp out of there with a decision. Now, there's a lot of people, though, that don't look at those aspects the same way that I do, and they're very reasonable people, in some instances more knowledgeable in this regard than I am, and they say, look, man, it's going to be the same fight. Anthony Joshua is not going to change enough to avoid what Andy Ruiz is bringing. Andy Ruiz has got faster hands. That's not going to change. Andy Ruiz is a better counterpuncher, and he throws. Yeah, he's throwing when Anthony Joshua is throwing. He's going to be more prepared for this fight than he was the last one, because he's got a full training camp specifically to focus on a guy that he already beat. So there's some people that say, hey, I can't see it being any different. I think that, like Tyson Fury, who, although he's in the list of things that have been ridiculous this year, Tyson Fury is, you know, pretty high on that list with just his mouth and his ducking of Deontay Wilder and the whole Tom Schwartz, Otto Wallin, lineal nonsense talk. You know, he says that he finds Andy Ruiz. He sees Andy Ruiz winning the fight. But the most important thing coming out of this fight, in my opinion, is what's going to happen after this fight. The winner, and this is why I think that this is the biggest fight of the year and the most important fight of the year. Now, Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz is extremely important too, because number one, it's the heavyweight division. Luis Ortiz is a very, very dangerous fighter. But if Deontay Wilder doesn't get out of that, we cannot have right away a unified, what I want to see, which is the unification of the heavyweight division. If Anthony Joshua wins this fight, then I don't think we're going to see it. If Andy Ruiz does it, I think that we're going to see it. And we're going to see it because it will be, number one, it'll be an all PBC situation, right? And the PBC has enough cachet with the sanctioning bodies to allow that fight to happen. Now, after that fight happens, the winner more than likely is going to get stripped and the belts are going to go all over the place like they always do. But I do believe that at least we'll get that fight. And then maybe just maybe, we can get this ridiculous boxing marketing department, better other known as media, because that's what this is. This is not journalism these sports writers are engaged in, right? Sometimes they might use some really, some flowery words and draw some unnecessary pictures and all of that drama. But at the end of the day, they are selling fighters for networks. That's marketing. That's not journalism. But if you have a heavyweight champion of the world, an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, we don't have to hear anything else about this crap pound for pound list where people put with these moronic lists that are developed by people who don't even watch the fighters that they have on that list fight. Okay? You don't watch them. You have not watched Monster Inoue fight more than twice. You haven't done it. Okay? 3 times top. You have not been a career-long fan of Juan Carlos Estrada. Stop it. You have not done that. Okay? If you've been watching them, then why ain't you watching the Wolf down there, Midlothian? If it's not Midlothian, the guy that's 54-0 now down there at the mini ant weight. The ant weight guy. Why isn't he on the pound for pound list if you're so interested in these lower weight classes? You're interested in who the promoters are telling you to look at and to put on the list so you can get access to those guys for interviews and the fighters, and so that you can have people go to your websites and you can have your editors happy with your stories and you can keep your job. That's what you're doing. It ain't journalism. It's a partnership between it's a marketing partnership between somebody trained in journalism and a boxing promoter for the purpose of promoting specific fighters. But if these guys can actually get in the ring between Deontay Wilder or whoever the heavyweight champions are to unify the heavyweight division through what they do in the ring, then perhaps the significance of that marketing garbage going on at ESPN and Ring Magazine can be minimized but for a second. Just for a moment of clarity in boxing, because we know it's going to get confused again. We know all this drama in the mandatory, what Eddie Hearn is saying that more than likely the winner of Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz is going to do, which is what? Vacate the WBO belt. Why? So Alexander Usyk, who's now a matchroom fighter, can fight for it. So they can always have, there's always everybody, there, at least for sure, Matchroom is going to have a heavyweight champion, and Top Rank can have a heavyweight champion, and the PBC will have a heavyweight champion, and we can all sell the concept that we have the heavyweight champion to fight fans who because of addiction to the sport or blatant gullibility, is gullibility a word? Because they're gullible, will go along with it the whole time. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out. Peace.